Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including, but not limited to, swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children. Welcome to Bibliotomy, where we read nice things that we like and don't hate.
You might like this one.
Maybe. I am a horse girl.
In your heart
I'm
of
tall.
hearts.
Yeah. I'm Bam Bam.
And I'm Bugs. And today we are doing Black Beauty by Anna Sewell.
I watched one of the movies.
Oh, so you kind of know the idea of the plot.
I mean, I was like 5, so plot kind of escaped me at the time.
But you know it's about a horse.
Yeah, it is. I am aware that there is a large black stallion.
Well, gelding.
Is it gelding?
Yeah, he's not a stallion.
Oh.
The Black Stallion is about a black stallion.
That makes sense.
Did you read one where a boy was, or did you watch the movie where a boy was in a shipwreck?
Yes.
That was the Black Stallion.
Oh. All right. I don't know shit about Black Beauty then. Never mind. I'm an asshole, actually.
Black Beauty is a he, but it's assumed he's a gelding. He does not ever take a need to reproduce with the ladies, horses. Yeah. We just kind of bypass all that in the story.
I mean, this is... What's the age group we're looking at for this one?
That's actually interesting because most of the time people read this when they're children. Mm-hmm. She wrote it for working men.
Really?
Yes. This book was written for teenage boys and working men.
Who is the author?
Anna Sewell. So I actually wrote her whole little biography at the end of the story, but we can start at the beginning. Her family were Quakers, and then they changed and became a different religion, but her mom was actually an author who wrote children's books, and she very much emphasized kindness towards animals, and she was instrumental in the beginning of humane treatment of animals and came out against animal cruelty. Oh. This book was written in 1877.
Wow.
So it's very old. And
that's pretty old.
At the time, horses were used for everything.
Right.
You had trains, but everything else was horses.
Yeah, they were your car/tractor/
Sport. Yes.
Yeah, everything.
They were everything. And her mom wrote children's books for children. She was a teacher. Anna wrote only this book, and she actually died fairly young of hepatitis and tuberculosis.
Wow.
She died in her 50s. She broke both ankles as a young woman, and because they healed really badly, she couldn't walk or run very well, so she learned how to horse ride and drive a carriage, and that became the only way she could get around.
Okay, and that... is that the author or is that the mom?
Anna is the author. Her mom was named Mary.
Right, but which one of them got...
Anna's the one, the author is the one who broke her ankles. Okay. And so she became very fond of horses and spent a lot of time around them and learned care of them and was very empathetic toward horses. So she wrote this book as educational for working men.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, and I was really surprised when I read that because everyone thinks of this as a children's book. But then they also come up with, it was really dark and sad. Yeah. Why would you give this book to children to read? And then reading it, it's not actually meant for little kids. I think it's appropriate for children to read. I think they should read it. Mm-hmm.
A good morality.
It's a very good morality tale, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, I guess it would be similar to like White Fang, because it's got like a lot of dark, grueling themes, but they make like 5th and 6th graders read it.
Yes, very, very similar. And it's a classic, so everyone reads it and has like this shared trauma around it.
Yeah.
So I do have to say, big trigger warning for all of the animal abuse and animal cruelty. I'm pretty sure this book made me cry when I was a kid, and I just about cried again reading it this time.
Huh. We're doing a book about animal abuse, and I'm not the one doing it.
I know, brand new. And about hard, dark men.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously this book is against animal abuse and animal cruelty, which is why it's a good book.
Yeah.
However, it does...
We got to go some dark places to show how to be nicer than that.
Yes, and it is somewhat assuming you have a level of empathy when you're reading it, so that you will feel sympathetic with the animals. Also, this was the first story ever written from a horse's perspective.
Huh.
She was instrumental and groundbreaking in that way.
Yeah, I feel like that's even earlier than a lot of storytelling, because that is a fairly rare thing, because when that got picked up a little bit more, it was like probably like the 40s or 50s when that started being like really mainstream popular.
Probably, because like you think of Charlotte's Web and other stories like that.
Charlotte's Web and The Fox and the Hound and stuff like that. There weren't a whole lot of people trying to take on animals' perspectives until, when you're trying to empathize with the animal, or in the case of The Fox and the Hound, that author was trying to make a point about conservationism.
Right.
So, yeah, that's neat.
I would have been a horse girl if my family had money.
Yeah.
I read this when I was maybe 8 or 9. I was fairly young. It was before I read a lot of other stuff, and I desperately wanted a horse. And now I get to look at horses every day because your horse lives on my farm.
Yep.
And I love that. Black Beauty is narrated by Black Beauty, our main character. His story starts when he was a colt. His mother's name is Duchess, and she was the master's favorite, and he called her Pet. She tells Black that he is well-bred and must always be a gentleman and never bite or kick. So he comes from a family kind of like, they have racehorse lineage.
Does it tell you like a breed or anything like that? Thoroughbred, saddlebred, Arabian?
Looked, and something in my brain said thoroughbred, but when I went back and looked, I couldn't find where they said the breeds of the horses. It's made clear that they had some kind of breeding, and they were not standard cart horses. We do deal with some classism and this idea that because we're well born, we are well behaved. And the horses kind of continue that mentality, because she's like, we are well bred, we never bite or kick. It's okay for those other colts to bite and kick, and they'll have to learn better, but you know better because you're born better. And reading it this time, I was like, whoa. Okay.
That is pretty overtly classist, yeah.
However, she wasn't trying to change classist attitudes. She was trying to change attitudes towards animals, and because of the people she's speaking to, she's having to work within the classism structure that she's in,
right?
And address it within that.
Yeah, we're picking our battles.
She's picking her battles.
We're not worried about poor people today. We're trying to be nice to horses.
Which honestly, we do deal with working class and poor people issues. We do absolutely face those. Yeah. But it is just kind of funny that this horse is a gentleman horse.
I've never met a thoroughbred that didn't try to bite me. So.
There was a plowboy named Dick who would go into the field and throw sticks and rocks at the colts for fun. There was no internet, no phones. He probably didn't even know how to read. Yeah, so he would go into the field and just chuck stones at the horses to make them run. Yeah. That was his fun. Their master caught him at it one day and boxed him in the ear and dismissed him immediately from service. And this is our first example of a good master treating his horses well and standing up to someone who's doing wrong. Like, you're harming my animals. Yeah. Stop it. One day in spring, the horses hear a hullabaloo, and it's hunters riding horses and chasing a hare with hounds. So it's I think they're hunting a hare. They chase the hare into the field with horses leaping the fence near the brook. And 2 horses come down really badly. A rider ends up in the creek and the other with a broken neck. A colt says he got what he deserved, but Duchess doesn't agree. He meaning the rider. Well, no, she said, you must not say that. But though I am an old horse, and have seen and heard a great deal, I never yet could make out why men are so fond of this sport. They often hurt themselves, often spoil good horses, and tear up the fields, and all for a hare or a fox or a stag that they could get more easily some other way. But we are only horses and don't know. So there are messages in here of pointing out how stupid these hunts are. She doesn't go super strong against them, but we do see the effects of hunting on the horses and on the people that do this for sport.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is correct. This is an incredibly wasteful sport.
Very wasteful.
Yeah.
And here, everyone surrounds the rider who broke his neck, and he was George Gordon, the only son of the local squire.
Is this like the CTE for football of the 1800s?
Probably.
Yeah.
But so damaging to the local countryside, to, like the horse said, the animals, the fields, the horses are damaged, the riders die. Like, it's just absurd, really. His horse lay groaning, and after the farrier finds the broken leg, they get a rifle and shoot him. The horse's name was Rob Roy. He was a good horse that Duchess knew, and she never went to that side of the field again.
Yeah.
Black's master didn't break him in until he was 4 years old, because he believed that if you break them in too young, you'll damage their bodies.
Yeah.
At the time, I think it was not common to let them grow that long before breaking them in and using them for work.
Well, I think, the idea of the raising in this case is it's much more like an investment than, the next year's car that I need to plow the field with or something. It's less of a utilitarian thing than a financial investment.
And because not all of our readers are horse girls, I'm going to describe breaking in as Black Beauty describes breaking in. Breaking in is the process where a horse learns to wear a saddle and bridle, be ridden, and wear a harness to pull a carriage. Black describes it as tiresome and annoying, but the slow progression and gentleness that his master used made it much more tolerable. He dislikes the horseshoes, but eventually gets used to them. He really hates the blinkers and the crupper.
I mean, that does make sense because, the training a horse, I think at that time was a whole lot different than like the more famous cowboy way of doing it, which was to just break them down instead of break them in.
There are people in the book who do break them down, and we meet one of them, and she's a pretty angry horse. He was broken in very gently and over time. So one day we get the bridle on, and then you get some oats and you're rewarded, and then the next day we put the saddle on, and then eventually it's piece by piece over time while being treated with kindness. And he's already familiar with his owner, so he's not running away all the time.
Kind of similar with my horse, because I've had him since he was born, and he's never been anything, he's never had the inclination to buck with a saddle on him or anything like that, because he's never felt the need to. He's just always been ridden. Bringing
back the idea that he's a gentleman horse. Quote, I hated the crupper. To have my long tail doubled up and poked through that strap was almost as bad as the bit. I never felt more like kicking. But of course I could not kick such a good master, and so in time I got used to everything and could do work as well as my mother. So we are playing pretty strongly on, we have given this horse every positive characteristic that we can. And that is for a purpose, because we are trying to teach a morality tale, and we need basically a perfect main character to do that, I think.
Yeah.
But I just love how she's in the mind of this horse going if I was gonna kick, this would be the time to do it.
But I won't, because I am a gentle little boy horse.
Good horse. He gets sent to stay at a farmer's field next to a train track so that he gets
desensitized.
And he says later in the book that it was very beneficial to him to have time spent near the train, because every time the train went by, he'd go galloping off and be scared. And then he'd look around and the cows were just sitting there, just eating. And so eventually he realized it never came into the field, it never got him, and it was okay.
Yeah, we do it with trash bags now.
Yeah. And shaking them at the horse.
Yeah, you basically just aggravate them until they stop caring.
Black learns how to drive double with his mother, who teaches him to do his best.
Drive, as in drive cattle?
Pull a carriage.
Oh, okay.
They don't do anything with cattle.
Oh.
This is in England.
Oh, okay.
I don't actually know which area, but they're in rural England.
We'll just say it's Yorkshire, because that's the only English place I can think of.
Worcestershire. His mother tells him, "She told me the better I behaved, the better I should be treated, and that it was wisest always to do my best to please my master. But," said she, "there are a great many kinds of men. There are good, thoughtful men like our master, that any horse may be proud to serve, and there are bad, cruel men who never ought to have a horse or dog to call their own. Besides, there are a great many foolish men, vain, ignorant, and careless, who never trouble themselves to think. These spoil more horses than all, just for want of sense. They don't mean it, but they do it for all that. I hope you will fall into good hands, but a horse never knows who may buy him, or who may drive him. It is all a chance for us, but still I say, do your best wherever it is, and keep up your good name."
We have a pedigree to look after, young man.
Squire Gordon buys him, and he leaves his mother and master. Gordon's property is large, and Black lives in a barn with 4 large stalls. Next to Black's stall lives a pony named Merrylegs. I just love that.
It is a very cute name.
He sounds like he's just dancing all the time. He says hello to Black, and says he doesn't like anyone who bites. The next stall over holds a tall chestnut mare who was rather put out for being moved from her stall to that one. Black got moved into stall.
Yeah, don't bite me, you dirty thoroughbred.
Her ears are laid back, and she's angry he kicked her out, but he replies that he went where he was led and didn't want to fight with anyone. Her name is Ginger. She goes out, and Merrylegs tells Black that she has a bad habit of biting and snapping at people, and one time made James, the stable boy, bleed.
That is funny.
It's a very bad habit. Like smoking or cursing.
I mean, it is funny. Like, she's assigning personalities to very common horse traits, because some horses are just bitey. Like my horse, he's not bitey, he's chewy.
He likes to lick and nibble everything. He's like a goat, I swear to God.
Yeah, because if you let him, he will take your fingers in between his teeth and, like, just really gently crush them. And just kind of go back and forth with his teeth.
Well, Ginger actually bit James and drew blood.
Yeah.
She's not friendly.
I've had a couple horses do that, so it tracks.
Black can't imagine why Ginger would enjoy biting people, because he's like, a bad habit. Well, I don't think she does find pleasure, said Merrylegs. It is just a bad habit. She says no one was ever kind to her, and why should she not bite? Of course it is a very bad habit, but I am sure, if all she says be true, she must have been very ill-used before she came here. John does all he can to please her, and James does all he can, and our master never uses a whip if a horse acts right. So I think she might be good-tempered. You see, he said with a wise look, I am 12 years old. I know a great deal, and I can tell you there is not a better place for a horse all around the country than this. John is the best groom that ever was. He has been here 14 years, and you never saw such a kind boy as James is. So that it is all Ginger's own fault that she did not stay in that box.
The wizened 12-year-old pony character.
Yes.
I mean, 12 years old, that's like...
Middle-aged.
Well, I don't know pony ages. Average, like a longish lifespan for a horse is like 30. But I don't know if ponies live that long.
Oh, it might be different than horses. Yeah, I don't know either. The coachman, John, puts Black through his paces, and Squire Gordon asks how he is. John says he is first-rate and calm with a soft mouth who turns at the gentlest touch. John says Black wasn't frightened or ill-used when he was young, and Squire Gordon rides him and is pleased. This is when he's named Black Beauty. He's given a name that's different every single owner, and I'm not going to bother with any of the other names. I'm just calling him Black or Black Beauty for the whole book.
Are there any miniature horses in the story? I love miniature horses.
Just the pony. I don't know when those were bred, honestly.
I feel like they've probably been around. I know they were used in coal mines back in the early 1900s, so I'm sure they were around in this point.
They were using ponies for the coal mines during the story.
Like actual full-size ponies, or were
Yeah.
they calling miniature horses ponies? Because
this book doesn't differentiate between them.
Yeah. I think that's what the original miniature horse breed was for, was so that they didn't have to like dig the mine carts as high, and they could still use them to pull up carts.
Honestly, a lot of times they're called Welsh ponies. I think
Yeah,
because
I don't know.
so I think they may have just been like come off the moor kind of ponies that were
Yeah, that makes sense.
caught wild. John said he would have suggested the name Rob Roy because the two horses were so similar, and it's revealed that Duchess was Rob Roy's mother, making them brothers.
Oh.
The horse that
So
died.
she watched her son die in a fox hunt. Mm-hmm. Huh.
I did not wonder that my mother was so troubled. It seems that horses have no relations. At least they never know each other after they are sold. That's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Does he like reckon with that at all, or he just accept it?
Just has to accept it because
That's just the way it is.
it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know? And in some ways, because this was the 1870s, it was after the Civil War in America, and slavery was outlawed in the UK. But I feel like there is some social commentary on slavery too. And the way being bought and sold is so scary, and the roll of the dice, and you don't know what you're going to get, and how it can be really inhumane. She never makes the parallel, but I felt like this kind of was a
Felt like it was open to that.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like a lost opportunity, maybe. But at the same time,
she's dealing
not
with
really what the story's
animal
about.
cruelty, yeah. He and Ginger go in the double harness and get along. Black and Merrylegs become good friends. Black is treated well and has a good life, but he misses being able to run around the field all day. So he's still pretty young and has lots of energy. He occasionally gets let out to the field on Sundays, and those are like the best times where most of the conversations between the horses happen. He gets to know Ginger, and for all the kindness and gentleness Black had, she had angry and hard men who didn't care for her and used force instead. Here she is telling her story. But when it came to breaking in, that was a bad time for me. Several men came to catch me, and when at last they closed me in at a corner of the field, one caught me by the forelock, another caught me by the nose, and held it so tight I could hardly draw my breath. Then another took my underjaw in his hard hand and wrenched my mouth open, and so by force they got on the halter and the bar into my mouth. Then one dragged me along by the halter, another flogging behind, and this was the first experience I had of men's kindness. It was all force. They did not give me a chance to know what they wanted.
Yeah, well, that's track too. That thing with the nose, though, they call that twitching.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, they kind of lose all will to do anything when you pinch in between the underside of their lip and the bridge of their nose. That's how a lot of veterinarians deal with difficult horses, like if they're having to work on their teeth or give like a difficult horse a shot or something like that. They'll just go ahead and just stick the twitch straight on them.
I think part of the point also is she wasn't raised around people. It was a big
this was
herd
her
of
first
horses.
interaction.
Yeah, she
with
wasn't
people.
like Black and Duchess, who lived in a field and daily interacted with their owner. She was in a herd of horses that were basically running wild in these fields until it's time to get broken in and sold.
Yeah.
So no chance to ease into it at all. The horse herd was owned by a man named Mr. Ryder. But his son Samson had taken over the bulk of the work. Samson's strategy was to wear Ginger out with the long rein, then get in the saddle and ride her until she was exhausted. She still wouldn't do what he wanted, so he got a new type of bit that was very painful. And I don't remember what they call it, but I know there's a couple different shapes.
Wouldn't have been called a hackmore, would it?
No.
There's a broken bit, there's a U-bit.
I know at one point they call something like the long bar, but I'm not sure what exactly they use on her in this situation.
I think I know what they're talking about. Basically what it is, it's a bar with a kind of a loop in the middle, so that when it gets turned up, the loop is like pressing up into the roof of their mouth.
Ow.
They call it a long bar because the attachment for the reins is like way down, like the whole piece is solid. So whenever you pull back, you're getting a lot of leverage on the inside of their mouth.
Right. He jerked the rein hard, and she bucked, so he flogged her and dug his spurs in, and they fought, and she bucked until she was bleeding and finally threw him off. She ran to the edge of the field and stayed there until evening, when Mr. Ryder came to get her. He had oats and spoke gently, so she ate some and went with him back to the stables. He took a rag and a bucket of warm water and cleaned her bleeding sides. Her mouth was so torn up she couldn't eat hay, so he gave her warm bran mash. Mr. Ryder had a different man named Job train Ginger. He was a better, more patient man, and Ginger learned the saddle and harness.
Yeah, that really sets me on, because there are people still today, they punish the horse by jerking the reins in their mouth. Mm-hmm. And they'll just like jerk down on the reins, and just imagine like a big piece of metal like just being jerked down on your jaw like that.
Yeah.
And like my dad wasn't like the kindest to animals or horses in general, but even he had enough empathy to know better than to treat a horse like that, because that is just obscenely cruel and stupid.
Mm-hmm. And like he it's also pointed out that he's a mean drunk. Mm-hmm. So he would just take it out on her.
Yeah.
He just was really mad and just taking it out on her. Mm-hmm. But with a different trainer who was more calm and like slower about it. Because I think the idea is Samson didn't think of horses as creatures who had feelings.
Yeah.
He looked at them as money.
Yeah.
He took over the business and wanted to sell them as fast as possible, which meant breaking them as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And once he sold them, they weren't his problem anymore. Mm-hmm. So he and his father cared about the horses and was really disgusted with the way his son was treating them. Yeah. After breaking in, Ginger is matched with another chestnut in a gentleman's stable. They use a check rein. Do you know what a check rein is?
I don't.
So I
they
looked it
also
up.
might be named different things between English riding and Western riding, and I'm more familiar with Western riding.
So when you have a horse in a harness pulling a carriage, you connect the back of their, was this the bridle?
Yes.
Whatever the stuff is.
Headstall?
Whatever it is around their head.
Okay.
Is connected by a strap to the harness at their back of their neck, and it does not let their head come down.
Oh, okay.
And I know that's called something else here.
I don't really see it used, that version of it used here, because I don't know a whole lot of people that ride buggies.
Well, actually, she was instrumental in helping it be abolished.
Oh.
It was extremely common. It was the fashion to put your horses pulling a carriage to all have a check rein and have it very high.
Oh.
And it's a problem because the horses are not able to lean forward when they're going uphill.
Right.
And it wears their joints down and their back a lot faster.
Oh, okay.
And also, it makes it so they can't breathe good.
Yeah.
Because imagine if you had a big board tied to your forehead and your tailbone and you couldn't relax to breathe. So when they're...
Was it just like a style thing? Like
Yeah.
proud, just having their head held up proud or something like that?
Yep.
Damn, that sucks. That does make sense, though.
Yep. And so it was extremely common.
The version I'm more familiar with was called a tie down.
That actually is also mentioned in this book, where it
Okay.
connects their chin to their chest.
Yeah.
And they cannot pull their head up.
Right. See, we had a horse that we had to use a tie down with him. And he was the only horse I've ever had that required a tie down.
Really?
Because he would headbutt you. He was such a high-strung horse. He was a really big quarter horse, too. He was like 17, 18 hands, I think it was.
Oh, my God.
Really tall, well-built horse. And he was so high-strung that you had to fight him and keep him from running all the time.
Oh, wow.
Because he was stalled as a colt, and he was just incredibly high-strung from it.
Wow.
Like, he never got to run around as a colt that much, and he just stayed high-strung his entire life.
Wow.
And my mom was the only one who rode him. And he was incredibly high-strung, and if you did not have a tie-down on him and you were not paying attention, he would just suddenly jerk his head up and break your nose.
While you're riding him?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That would terrify me.
Yeah. So I definitely understand that potentially being a cruel one if that's how it comes up in the book, but I also see that one as sometimes a little necessary.
In the situation, they have a check rein and a tie down.
Okay, that's really bad. Yeah, that's definitely
And
bad.
the bit is at the lowest setting, so it's pulling at the bottom of their jaw and like pulling really hard, and so the horse goes mad. The horse actually goes insane and like breaks things, and like they almost put it down.
No, that's incredibly unnecessary. The tie downs we had were like, they weren't attached to the reins; they were a separate thing. Like you had your tie down, and it was basically just another halter that, was like the cloth fiber around their face like a halter would be. And then on top of that, you would put the bridle. So the bridle wasn't attached to the tie-down system.
Yeah, like in this situation, it's with a horse later on in the book. But it's just like, not because of a situation where a horse is...
I mean, it's a buggy horse. You're not right behind the horse's head. It's not gonna come
it's
up and bust you in the face.
It was all of these are generally fashion choices. We want this horse to look this way, and we don't care the impact on the horse's health.
Yeah, that is insane.
It also causes them to damage their wind, where I think it damages their windpipe, and it makes them have like difficulty breathing later on. And it's known by horse breeders that using the check rein excessively and very high wears the horses out much faster. But because they're horse breeders, they don't care.
Yeah.
They are going to just sell more horses.
We're also talking about a species of animal that historically was sold with eels in its butt to make it look younger.
I doubt that was as frequent as Robert Evans would have you believe.
I feel like it was probably more frequent than you think.
Well, it doesn't come up in this book.
I know horse salesmen or horse traders, and absolutely, they would. If eels were common around here, there would be all kinds of eels in horses' butts around here.
Well, now that you have brought this up, you have to explain the story.
Okay, so long story short, it is associated with younger horses that their tails are raised high. It shows like high spiritedness, high energy. And if you've got a dead, broken down horse, they're not going to do that. But if you live in England along the Thames, you have a pretty common access to eels. And if it turns out, if you put an eel in a horse's ass, they'll raise their tail up and perk up for a little while.
Because they're a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'd also perk up a little bit if someone put an eel in my butt.
Did you learn this from Behind the Bastards?
Yes.
Or was this something you knew beforehand?
No, that was the first time I'd heard it.
Shout out to Robert Evans,
but
educating the class.
I just thought it was really funny because I could 100% see people I know doing that.
Oh my God. Okay, back to the story.
Back to the story. I'm going to interrupt like every 5 minutes. This is going to be a 3 hour long episode because I have to talk about horses every 5 seconds.
And you have a lot more horse knowledge and experience than I did. When I was a kid, I read all the books on horses I could read. So I learned all of the breeding and the training, all of the stuff, but it was all theoretical because I didn't get to be around horses.
Yeah.
I just read all about them.
Yeah. And I got none of the theory and only practice.
The check rein makes Ginger really irritable. And the more she is irritable, the more they hit her.
Yep.
And that makes her more irritable, so they hit her some more. And one day, she finally breaks her harness and gets sold. A dealer buys her, who drives her with a better bit and no check rein, so she calms down and behaves herself.
Oh, crazy. If you treat an animal reasonably, it won't go psychotic. That's nuts.
She got sold to a country gentleman whose first groom was gentle and good, but the next groom was a rough and angry man who would hit her with his stable broom or hay fork, just on the leg. Like, he would just walk past her, just hit her leg with the broom.
Oh, what a dick.
Yeah, he was a dick. One day she had enough, so she bit him.
Yeah.
And he beat her around the head with his whip. And after that, he was afraid of her, so she got sold again. Thus, she ended up at Squire Gordon's, where everyone treats her much, much better. Quote, I came here not long before you did, but I had then made up my mind that men were my natural enemies, and I must defend myself. Of course it is very different here, but who knows how long it will last. I wish I could think about things as you do, but I can't after all I've been through. Because Black Beauty's like, why are you so irritable? Just be nice. They'll be nice if you're nice. And she's like, you have not been beaten around the head, sir.
Yeah. I mean, it could also be like another kind of classism, a little bit of commentary there. Because, he's privileged and he's always had a well-treated life, and she's gotten a fair amount of abuse, and that makes you a little rough around the edges.
And then over time, as she lives there, she does really calm down and gets more gentle and does really well.
Yes.
One day, Merrylegs was brought in, and he is in a foul mood. The vicar's children were with Gordon's daughters, and they were taking turns riding him. After a few hours, Merrylegs had enough, so he stood on his hind legs, and the boy dropped off. They climbed on again, and he stood up again, so the boy slid off. The boy climbed on and began whipping Merrylegs with a cane, so he laid down and refused to move. Which I've dealt with goats and other animals who did this, and it's very clear. They're like, good sir, I am done. And when they get to that point, there's not much you can do.
Oh, when horses do it, it's fucking devastating. 'Cause it's all of a sudden, it's unexpected, and there's really not a good way to, get them up.
Well, at this point, they had been, 6 or 7 children had been riding him for 3 hours on an afternoon, and he was tired of these boys just nonstop.
Yeah.
Ginger says she would have given the boys a kicking, but Merryleg explains that it's his job to teach children to ride, and naughty boys need to learn that horses are animals and not steam engines.
Oh.
So we're giving him a very rational old man, gentleman mind of, he's used to teach the children how to ride. Because he's just that calm and that good-natured of a horse.
It's kind of a you teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
Kind of aspect to it.
And he's been trusted by Gordon and the vicar to teach the children how to ride, and he's completely trusted. But then you had these other really rough boys who didn't know what they were supposed to do with horses.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, I need to teach them.
Yeah. It's a well-trusted enough horse that I can see that working both ways. Like if the horse was really smart, but also if it's just a really calm animal that you've known for 12 years, and if it acts up, it wasn't the horse.
Yes, exactly. He also points out that kicking or biting the children could get him sold to a bad master who would work him to death.
Just like, no, they're going to get rid of you.
And it's funny because James actually saw the size of the canes the boys had cut, and he was really angry that they were beating Merrylegs with it, because he's like, no, Merrylegs is a good pony. These kids are being naughty. One day, Black talks to Sir Oliver, an older horse. He asks what accident caused him to have a short tail, as it was only 6 or 7 inches long. He tells Black it was no accident. Men cut it off on purpose. Not only was it very painful for a long time, but he can no longer brush the flies off of his legs and sides and endures their bites with no help. It was the fashion in his time, but had thankfully gone out of fashion.
Yeah.
Sir Oliver says, to my mind, fashion is one of the wickedest things in the world. Now look, for instance, at the way they serve dogs, cutting off their tails to make them look plucky, and shearing up their pretty little ears to a point to make them look sharp, forsooth. I had a dear friend once, a brown terrier. Skye, they called her. She was so fond of me that she never would sleep out of my stall. She made her bed under the manger, and there she had a litter of 5 as pretty little puppies as need be. None were drowned, for they were a valuable kind, and how pleased she was with them.
Aww.
And when they got their eyes open and crawled about, it was a real pretty sight. But one day the man came and took them all away. I thought he might be afraid I should tread upon them, but it was not so. In the evening, poor Skye brought them back again, one by one in her mouth. Not the happy little things that they were, but bleeding and crying pitifully.
Aww.
They had all had a piece of their tails cut off, and the soft flap of their pretty little ears was quite cut off. How their mother licked them, and how troubled she was, poor thing. I never forgot it. They healed in time, and they forgot the pain, but the nice soft flap, that of course was intended to protect the delicate part of their ears from dust and injury, was gone forever. Why don't they cut their own children's ears into points to make them look sharp? Why don't they cut the ends off their noses to make them look plucky? One would be just as sensible as the other. What right have they to torment and disfigure God's creatures? Sir Oliver, though he was so gentle, was a fiery old fellow, and what he said was all so new to me, and so dreadful, that I found a bitter feeling toward men rise up in my mind that I never had before. Of course Ginger was very much excited. She flung up her head with flashing eyes and distended nostrils, declaring that men were both brutes and blockheads. Who talks about blockheads? Said Merrylegs, who just came up from the old apple tree where he had been rubbing himself against the low branch. Who talks about blockheads? I believe that is a bad word. Bad words were made for bad things, said Ginger, and she told him what Sir Oliver had said. And I like how we're pointing out just the unnecessary cruelty for fashion's sake.
Right.
And it applies to horses and to dogs. And if we did it to our children like that, it would be considered very strange.
It would be clear how fucked up it is if we did that to kids. But for some reason, because, we don't empathize with animals the way we do children, we don't see it.
Well, and a lot of people don't actually empathize with children. But
it's definitely easier to empathize with a child than it is an animal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Probably less so now. Like, there are a lot of people I know that I could see abusing children and treating their animals very well. Because I feel like that's kind of become a little bit of a change in the culture, weirdly.
But I really like how she really does just point out all of these harmful practices, and now it is considered not good to dock your puppies, and pointing out that, like, you're cutting part of the tail of the horse off. It cuts some of the vertebra. Yeah. It's not just trimming it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
It's now, I'm pretty sure, illegal. It's extremely uncommon.
Yeah.
When I was looking it up, the only times I saw it be used is they were these big giant horses that are used to pull big giant things.
Oh, draft horses?
Yeah.
Like a Belgian or a...
Yeah, I think it was like Belgian draft horses, and it was done...
Budweiser horse? Clydesdale.
Those were also the ones that I was seeing pictures of. Apparently, it's still a fashion for them, and they look so strange. Like, seeing them with a docked tail was very strange to look at. But a lot of these practices did get discontinued when people realized how stupid they were, because they were just to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Mary Legs agrees that these practices are wrong and harmful, but he reminds them that they have good masters who wouldn't do such things. And anyway, there's apples, and let's go hang out and eat some apples. He's always just like, enough of these bad things. Let's go do something fun.
You guys are bumming me out.
Yeah. And it is interesting because when you do have those really hard conversations, things can get really hard and everyone can get emotionally down. And you kind of do have to have someone who's like able to break the mood and bring everyone back to like, we're okay right now.
This is a functional friend group.
Yes. Black asks about blinkers and why they are used. Sir Oliver says they are of no use. Justice, another horse, explains that in theory, they don't allow a horse to see the carriage wheels behind him, and if he saw the carriages or the wheels, he would be very frightened and run away. The theory behind blinkers is so that they don't see the stuff behind them.
Blinders?
Yeah, blinkers.
Okay.
Blinkers.
I've only ever heard those called blinders. I've never heard them called blinkers before.
Well, in England, they were called blinkers.
Right.
So
yeah,
I guess here they're called blinders? Okay.
Yeah. And I've never known what they were for either.
They're also considered fashionable and another way to decorate the horse. But it was just this idea of, well, if the horse can see it, he'll be scared.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of see it. My horse is scared of culvert pipes. Sometimes horses are just a little silly.
Well, the horses have a discussion about this and point out that if you let a horse turn its head and look at something, he's less likely to be scared of it.
Yeah.
And another horse is talking about a really bad accident where they were riding, some horse and a carriage were going home one night. The horse had blinkers on and couldn't see the edge of the road, and the whole thing fell into a ravine. And if the horse had been able to see completely, he has better eyesight than the driver, he would have been able to get away from the edge and driven more safely. So the horse, Sir Oliver says, blinkers are dangerous because the horse can't see. And that was just the theory of why they were used, but they just became a thing everyone uses, whether or not it was really useful. And I had heard the idea of once you have trained a horse with blinkers, to then go to no blinkers can cause a horse that does get scared. But I've heard, even in the book, it says that when a horse has been raised without them and learns to pull a carriage, they're fine without them.
Yeah, it could just be kind of a crutch sort of thing, but I can definitely see some use cases for it. Because, sometimes some horses will just freak out over a little bit of nothing, or what we perceive as nothing. Because, like I was saying earlier, my horse, I'll ride him down like a road, and under some people's driveways, there's a culvert pipe with the ditch line. I don't know what he thinks it is. But he will prick his ears forward and then lock eyes on it and then walk in a wide circle around it.
Huh. Did he ever have a bad experience with a culvert pipe?
I have no idea.
Because you've had him basically his whole life, right?
I can't think of a single time he's had some kind of bad experience with a culvert pipe. All I can guess is that it just looks like a little burrow or a hole or something like that. Mm-hmm. And like maybe there's just some instinct or something that like something's in there and you need to stay away from that.
Or that it might be soft. Unlike fall in.
Yeah, maybe. But for years and years until I finally just gave up because he just wouldn't stop, I made him walk up to the culvert pipes and like just stand there. Like he's had his time around culvert pipes. And I don't know I don't know how to make him not afraid of them. And I've just given up. I just let him make his wide circle around it. It's fine.
Right. The Squire and Farmer Gray, Black's previous owner, had been working really hard to have check reins done away with. Mm-hmm. So in this area of the country, they were really uncommon. And we see a really strong message through the book of good, kind masters forcefully speaking to other people. They're not just treating their animals well, they intervene when other people are treating their animals badly.
Yeah, they're being active. They're not passively treating their animals well. They're trying to advocate for better treatment of animals in general.
Yeah. And so our good characters that we really look up to are advocates. They advocate for the other animals. If the squire saw someone beating and ill-treating his horse or pony, he spoke strongly to them and reprimanded their brutish behavior. They ran into a Captain Longley, who asked his opinion on a new pair he had bought, and Gordon agreed they were a fine pair, but pointed out that the check rein reduced their pulling power and could damage the horse's health. He asked how the captain's soldiers would do a bayonet charge uphill if they had boards tied to their backs. If they can't lean forward to work, it overworks their joints and wears them out. The captain agrees to think about it. So we see how you can kind of, through reasoning and talk, slowly change people's behavior. And that's what she's advocating for throughout the whole book. One day they go out on business and it's stormy. They have to take a long way around and cross a bridge. All of these times he's pulling a carriage, unless I say otherwise, pretty much.
Okay.
He is ridden sometimes, but it's not very often. The river covered the middle of the bridge, but they didn't stop. So a big storm, they need to cross this bridge, it's late at night, and the water has slightly covered the middle of the bridge, but it usually does that and it's usually okay, so they don't stop. We were moving along at a good pace, but the moment my feet touched the first part of the bridge, I felt sure there was something wrong. I dare not go forward, and I made a dead stop. "Go on, Beauty," said my master, and he gave me a touch with the whip, but I dare not stir. He gave me a sharp cut. I jumped, but I dare not go forward. "There's something wrong, sir," said John, and he sprang out of the dog cart and came to my head and looked all about. He tried to lead me forward. "Come on, Beauty, what's the matter?" Of course I could not tell him, but I knew very well that the bridge was not safe. Just then, the man at the toll gate comes running out and yells that part of the bridge has been washed away. And if they had gone out, the rest of the bridge would have collapsed and they all would have just washed down the river. John leads Black home back around the bridge and they find another way. And the squire talks about how God gave man reason, but he gave animals knowledge, and men should pay attention and value their animals more.
I agree with the spirit of that. I don't believe that.
Also, in this instance, Black has never refused to go across a bridge before.
Right. So, yeah. No, I agree with the actions being taken here, but it's attributing knowledge to animals.
Well, Black was able to feel that the bridge didn't feel solid.
Yeah.
And Black's feet were able to tell, this does not feel right, this is wrong. And so the idea is a bad master would have kept whipping.
Right.
Until they were all dead. A good master finds out why. Or at least in this instance, did more than
has
just...
some patience.
Yeah. And did some investigation.
That is like the number one thing I've had to learn with horses is a lot of patience.
Here's a fairly long quote. One day, when John and I had been out on some business of our master's and were returning gently on a long straight road, at some distance we saw a boy trying to leap a pony over a gate. The pony could not take the leap, and the boy cut him with the whip, but he only turned off on one side. He whipped him again, but the pony turned off on the other side. Then the boy got off and gave him a hard thrashing and knocked him about the head. Then he got up again and tried to make him leap the gate, kicking him all the time shamefully, but still the pony refused. When we were nearly at the spot, the pony put down his head and threw up his heels and sent the boy neatly over into a broad, quickset hedge, and with the rein dangling from his head, he set off home at a full gallop. John laughed quite out loud. "Served him right," he said. And the boy's like, "Oh no, help me, help me." And John's like, "Sucks to suck." And then he thinks about it. So he goes over and rides to Farmer Bushby's house and lets him know why the boy got thrown off the pony. Because he knows that the boy is going to go home and tell a tale and blame the horse. And the farmer was worried because here's his pony and no son. And John lets him know, and he thanks him for it and promises that he'll deal with the boy because this isn't the first time the boy's trying to be stupid. Because a pony cannot leap a fence. Right. He is too short.
Him got short leg.
Little. Him a little guy.
I'm just imagining like a idyllic little English countryside with like stone fences and stuff like that. And,
yeah, that's where this is set. John goes home and tells the story to James. And James knew the boy in school, and he was a bully then too. He liked to catch flies and rip their wings off. Oh. James caught it at him one day, so he boxed his ears, and the boy howled and screamed. But the principal came running, and James explained. "Of course I said fair and square at once what I had done, and why. Then I showed the master the flies, some crushed and some crawling about helpless, and I showed him the wings on the windowsill. I never saw him so angry before, but as Bill was still howling and whining, like the coward that he was, he did not give him any more punishment of that kind, but set him up on a stool for the rest of the afternoon, and said that he should not go out to play for that week. Then he talked to all the boys very seriously about cruelty, and said how hard-hearted and cowardly it was to hurt the weak and the helpless. But what stuck in my mind was this. He said that cruelty was the devil's own trademark, and if we saw anyone who took pleasure in cruelty, we might know who he belonged to, for the devil was a murderer from the beginning and a tormentor to the end. On the other hand, where we saw people who loved their neighbors and were kind to man and beast, we might know that was God's mark." So she is a little preachy, but she also firmly comes down on judge a man by his fruit and how he treats others, not what he says he is.
Right. I mean, it is funny is not the word, but like advocating for the cruelty to insects.
It's because
that's pretty unique, like especially for the 1870s.
No, it's because if a child has no feelings toward small, helpless things, he will not have feelings of mercy toward other things.
Right.
And it's an attitude of mercy toward small, helpless things in general.
Right. But it's even in the smallest way, empathy towards something as small as a fly, which is kind of nice.
And that these people are being held to higher standards of behavior. These are good men, and they hold other men to account for their behavior. Yeah.
And it's just bizarre to think of people in the 1870s thinking like that. And like this is a fiction.
No, so I read a lot of the religious literature of that time, honestly.
Okay, so this is like an idealized religious...
No, this was in line with some of the childhood curriculum taught to school children. It was very Christian based, and you would have I can't remember what sect she was, but she was Quaker, and they are pacifists, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Also, later on, we get into the not one drop, almost prohibitionist belief against alcohol. And morality was taught that you needed to be gentle and pacifist and kind and good, and this was very strongly taught in schools. And it often came from women teachers and women writers who were saying we need to teach abstinence from drink, we need to teach moral behavior, you don't cuss, you don't smoke, you don't do these things, and you do need to treat everyone else with kindness and goodness.
And teach it in like its minutest detail.
Yeah. And I see it with my children and their classmates too. Their classmates who enjoy stomping on spiders also enjoy punching other kids. Mm-hmm. And I have always taught my children to be gentle with spiders and insects, and we put them outside. Mm-hmm. We don't kill them unless they're actual pests who spread disease like ticks and mosquitoes. Yeah. And people have been trying to teach kindness and gentleness and morality for all of history. Mm-hmm. Man is a violent animal.
Yeah.
We have to very strongly teach men to not be violent. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, their natural inclination seems to be that way.
Yeah. It's just bizarre to me because much like those other children that go to school with your kids, I was taught to be violent.
Yeah.
And in spite of that, as an adult, I feel I've become much more of a gentle person in spite of that.
You can learn empathy.
Yeah.
It's much better if it's taught to you when you're small.
Yeah.
And it's best when it is modeled as a behavior by your parents.
Yeah.
These are being taught through teachers and at school. And of course, there are other types of schools, boarding schools and military schools that do instill violence into young men and do teach aggression as a goal. But there were absolutely, even the Puritans, a lot of their beliefs were really screwed up, but they did preach a lot of, in day-to-day behavior, charity towards others. Mm-hmm. Our idea of Christian beliefs now is very, very different than it was 150 years ago.
Right.
So
we gotta get back to horses.
We're trying to get back to horses.
3-hour episode.
And I wanted to do one after this. John says, your master never taught you a truer thing. There is no religion without love, and people may talk as much as they like about their religion, but if it does not teach them to be good and kind to man and beast, it is all a sham. All a sham, James, and it won't stand when things come to be turned inside out. And so it's very much of the treat others kind and well, not the American Christian belief we have.
Right, this version in the book here, I could get behind this version of Christianity. This seems like the goal is to be kind.
Yes, and it's very much more based on Jesus's actual teachings in the New Testament, not Paul's view in the later New Testament, and not Old Testament wrathful God. It is based on charity towards others and the golden rule. Basically, a lot of this was based on the golden rule. Yeah. Treat others as how you want to be treated. One time they go on a trip. It's Black and Ginger pulling the carriage. They stop at an inn, and the hostler tells a stable hand to go up in the loft and get some hay, but to lay down his pipe first. He goes and gets the hay. In the middle of the night, Black wakes up and he can hardly breathe, and Ginger is coughing. He hears a strange rushing and crackling noise, and all of the horses are trembling and stamping.
What could it be?
What could it be? At last I heard steps outside, and the hostler who had put up the traveler's horse burst into the stable with a lantern and began to untie the horses and try to lead them out. But he seemed in such a hurry and so frightened himself that he frightened me still more. The first horse would not go with him. He tried the second and third, and they too would not stir. He came to me next and tried to drag me out of the stall by force. Of course that was no use. He tried us all by turns and then left the stable. No doubt we were very foolish, but danger seemed to be all around, and there was nobody we knew to trust in, and all was strange and uncertain. The fresh air that had come in through the open door made it easier to breathe, but the rushing sound overhead grew louder, and as I looked upward through the bars of my empty rack, I saw a red light flickering on the wall. Then I heard a cry of, "Fire!" outside.
I was afraid that was.
The old experienced hostler comes in, and he's able to quickly get some of the horses out, because he is very experienced and able to maintain calm. James comes in, and he finds Black, and he ties his scarf over Black's eyes and leads him out. Once out, he gives the horse to someone to hold and takes the scarf and runs back in for Ginger, and it takes a while.
I think is it the Huns or the I think it was the Huns. They had a method of charging their horses by blindfolding them.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And they would just charge directly into enemy lines as just this big barreling mass going through and trying to like break their lines.
That just seems horrific.
It is horrific. And most of the time the horse would die.
Yeah.
Because, the horse wouldn't be able to see the spears and stuff that are like sticking out of the line.
Oh my God. James Howard, are you there? There was no answer, but I heard a crash of something falling in the stable, and the next moment I gave a loud, joyful neigh, for I saw James coming through the smoke, leading Ginger with him. She was coughing violently, and he was not able to speak. But they get out of the fire.
Hey.
Everyone is really proud of James for keeping his head, because he's the stable boy. Mm-hmm. He's like in his teens, mid to late teens, I think.
Yeah.
And apparently the stable hand had laid his pipe down in the loft.
Ew.
And that's why
fucking stable hands.
Yeah, he had been told, lay it down first outside. And the entire stable fell in, burying the 2 horses that they could not get out in time. And apparently at their own stable, it's the rule that no pipes are allowed in the stable at all. Like, you have to leave them outside the door.
Yeah.
One night, Black is wakened by John running into the stable, and he puts on his tack really quickly. The squire tells John to ride for your life. Well, the mistress's life. For the doctor, and to go as fast as they can.
It's baby time.
She is actually really ill. She's not pregnant.
Oh. I don't know why my brain went immediately to pregnancy.
I think their children, their son was an adult because he died on that hunt.
Yeah.
And then the other children are older children. So he tells John to go get the doctor, give the horse a rest, and then come straight back as fast as he can. They ride hard, and on the long stretches, he gallops as hard as he can. They get to the doctor, who says he'll come, but his one horse had been going out all day and was really tired, and his son had the other horse. So the doctor rides Black back to Gordon's house and gallops nearly the whole way back. John is stranded at the doctor's and has to walk the 8 miles back. And James has gotten a job at a different stable, so he's not there. So they have a new little stable boy named Joe, who's inexperienced and pretty young.
Does he ride the horse back out? And
No, the horse and Black get back home, but then Joe is the one who has to take care of Black and put him to bed in his stall. Black is shivering and sweating buckets and very, very hot. So
he doesn't know to walk him down.
He doesn't know to walk him down. He also thinks he shouldn't put a cloth on him because he's too hot. And he gives him a big bucket of very cold water.
Oh no, he's gonna founder!
And he gives him a bunch of corn.
Oh no!
And thinking to himself, I did a good job.
Oh no!
He goes to bed.
You killed him! You fool! I don't know if any of our listeners know shit about horses. I'm being such a fucking horse snob this episode.
So John has to walk the 8 miles back through the night. Of course, the squire is busy. No one is there. And so Black enjoys the cold water. But then after an hour, and this is in the winter. This is in March. So it's frosty outside.
Oh, no.
So he starts shaking and gets a horrific fever. And he lays down and is just hurting. All of him hurts. And John comes in and he hears Black moan and he's like, oh my God. And he is very, very angry at Joe.
Yeah, no, Joe fucked up. I've only ever had one horse founder, and it was a whole fucking trial. Because we had to keep the horse up and moving for 11 hours. Because it was it was on a Saturday evening, and we had to keep the horse going. It was me and a couple of my friends just walking around with this horse all fucking night.
Do you want to explain to the listeners who know nothing about horses what's going on?
So when a horse gets really hot and then they drink a bunch of water. Hey everyone, I'm actually wrong about everything I'm about to say. I'm getting colic confused with foundering. Foundering is something that happens to horses' feet with laminitis. Colic is the gastrointestinal pain from gas buildup and twisted gut. So everything I'm about to say about foundering, I mean colic. it kind of can put a twist in their guts, and it's like a weird air pocket or something will get trapped, and they can't release it, and it just causes everything to kind of stop up on their insides. And there are a few methods to possibly try to fix that. None of which were available to us because, number one, none of us felt comfortable enough to jam a
Stab
hose
it in the side.
No, I've never heard of that method. I'm sure
I'd heard
that
of
could
using
be
a
thing.
knife and putting a hole in its side and holding it open and letting the air escape.
Maybe, yeah.
But I think that was from some old Western I read somewhere.
Right.
Probably not with a veterinarian.
I know that's definitely a thing with cattle. There is something with
Okay.
cattle you do that with.
Maybe I'm thinking cattle then.
Maybe. I mean, it also could be with horses, but they have a whole different stomach system because cows are ruminants, and horses just have the like single basic mammal
Stomach?
dietary
Or-
plan. Yeah,
oh,
stomach
okay.
plan. They only have one stomach chamber, like most mammals. But yeah, and the horse will just lay there in agony, and if you don't get it moving and like eventually let that stuff like work out by walking them around continuously, they'll lay there and die. Mm-hmm. And the other method I've heard of doing is it's like you jam a hose down their throat.
Oh.
And it like if you manage to jam it down far enough without killing them, you can jam it down and like release the air out of their guts.
Oh, wow.
And none of us felt comfortable doing that, so we just walked the horse around for like 11 hours.
Right. So John is all tore up because he wasn't there to take care of the horse. He's really mad at Joe. He knows it's not really Joe's fault.
Not founder, colic. Is it colic? I'm pretty sure it's colicking. I
Okay.
can't remember anymore.
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
So Black saved Mrs. Gordon by getting the doctor so quickly, but now he's fighting for his life. A man named Tom Green keeps John company as they check Black every half hour because they're giving him draughts and like trying to like keep him alive until this process is through.
Drafts?
Draughts.
DRAUGHT?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's a draft.
But that's DRAFT.
That's a different kind of draft. I could be wrong. I'll look that
You
one
could
up.
be right. Homeschool kid who never heard words said out loud.
Because I remember thinking that was also pronounced draught for the longest time. So
You could be right.
I'm going to
Okay,
Google
fine.
that while you
Well,
do
I
that.
continue. Okay. We're never going to finish this
I
episode.
know. I'm insufferable, and I'm sorry. You should have known better than to get me on some kind of animal I know a lot about.
Tom tells John he needs to talk to Joe because the boy is distraught and he thinks if Black dies, no one will speak to him ever again.
Yeah.
And this kid is like 14. He's a young stable hand. John is upset and he knows Joe is not a bad kid, but Black is such a splendid horse that losing him this way would be more than he can bear. John agrees to have a word with Joe if Black gets better.
It is draft.
Oh, well, now I know. It's
Yeah.
not a draft, it's a draft. Oh my god. I don't even remember how I tried to say lieutenant when I was a kid.
Yeah, that one's a fucked up one
And
to try.
colonel, I called it colonel.
Yeah. That's how it's fucking spelled. And then there's some, I think it's like in the UK, they pronounce, they just say lieutenant, like just completely different.
Lieutenant.
Yeah, they call it lieutenant, but they still spell it lieutenant. Mm-hmm. And it's just like that's not even like an accent thing. You're just saying it differently.
Yep. Oh, what was that? I listened to one of our episodes and I said epitome and you said
Yeah.
epitome.
Yeah.
And when I listened to that, I laughed so hard. That was so
Well,
funny.
again, like a draft, I remember thinking of the same thing. So yeah.
And then you learned better and you taught me better.
Yeah. I wasn't just being a pedantic prick. I promise.
So John agrees he'll talk to Joe if Black gets better. Quote, and this is Tom speaking. Well, John, thank you. I know you did not wish to be too hard, and I am glad you see it was only ignorance. John's voice almost startled me as he answered, Only ignorance? Only ignorance? How can you talk about only ignorance? Don't you know that is the worst thing in the world next to wickedness? And which does the most mischief, heaven only knows. If people can say, oh, I didn't know, I did not mean any harm, they think it is all right. I suppose Martha Mulwash did not mean to kill that baby when she dosed it with Dalby and soothing syrups.
Jesus
but she
Christ.
did kill it and was tried for manslaughter.
Jesus Christ. I don't agree with that.
What do you mean?
I don't think she should have been charged with manslaughter for accidentally killing a baby. Like, if no one taught her how to treat a baby in that circumstance, I certainly wouldn't have known not to give it whatever the hell she gave it.
But if you don't know the result of giving medicine to a baby, you don't give the baby medicine.
Yeah.
Ignorance says, well, I'll try anything random. Then you kill the baby. Yeah, that's still manslaughter.
Yeah, I guess.
Ignorance is not an excuse. Because people will say, I didn't know, and you should know or go find out. And it's much harder for them without internet and newspapers and books and all these things.
Right.
So even for now, we should have even less of an excuse.
Yeah. Like, I think now, in this day and age, there's not an excuse for that kind of thing, because it's so easy to have that information at hand. But back then, I feel like I feel like that would have been, like, normal. I don't think that's, like, a strike on your character, because, like, especially if you can't...
If you excuse everyone who claims ignorance, no one will be charged for murder.
Right.
You have to hold people accountable for their actions, even if they're ignorant.
I guess.
And serve her right, too, said Tom. A woman should not undertake to nurse a tender little child without knowing what is good and what is bad for it. And honestly, we see this now with a lot of the giving bleach to your autistic child and giving horse warmer to people who have cancer. You should not say, I didn't know, as an excuse for harming people. And that is the point of this whole story. Joe really didn't know better, and he didn't have access to people who did.
Right.
But the result of what he did could kill this very valuable animal who everyone loves. And the result is still harm. And John points out, you were a good deal cut up yourself, Tom, 2 weeks ago when those young ladies left your hothouse door open with a frosty east wind blowing right in. You said it killed a good many of your plants. And yet, said John, I am sure the young ladies did not mean it. It was only ignorance. So she's pointing out that people will claim ignorance as a reason they shouldn't be in trouble and to get out of accountability.
Yeah. I don't know. At least in this case, with the horse. Like, you know, Joe's a new stable hand.
No one punishes him.
Right.
They're mad at him.
Okay.
Nobody punishes him.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if he's new and no one taught him about that, like, how can
He had never experienced this situation before.
Right.
And he goes on to become a very, very valuable stable hand and a member of the family, basically. Yeah. Because he learns better and he feels bad about it and he takes this chance to learn.
I think the problem I'm having is assigning blame. I'm conflating assigning blame with punishment.
Right.
I think that's where I'm missing at.
No one punishes him.
Yeah.
But you cannot allow people to claim ignorance when people's lives are on the line.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But, like, at what point do you stop that line of thought? Because at what point does my ignorance stop affecting other people?
I think that would be a whole different podcast on law versus morality.
Yeah.
Because we are dealing with lawful arguments around the woman who got charged with manslaughter.
Right.
And if you do overdose a child and they die, you can be charged with manslaughter. Whereas if they believe you did it on purpose to murder the child, that's called murder.
Right.
We do have a legal area of definition here where you can kill someone through negligence and through accident, but you're still held responsible. You drove this car badly. You didn't intend to run over that person, but you still did, and you still have to.
That would be involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that is outside the scope of this podcast, but...
Yeah. She's pointing
something for me
out...
to think about.
Yeah. And she's pointing out that you have to hold people accountable for their actions and the results of those actions, no matter the intention behind them. The intention of Joe was good. He thought he was doing a good job. In this instance, he didn't get punished because seeing everyone upset with him was punishment enough. And he wasn't able to have known. Right? But he learns and he gets better. Black gets all better. He survives. This isn't the end of the book. And one day, Joe rides Black to take a note, and they go past a brick field. A man is driving a cart heavy with bricks, and the horses can't pull it because it's stuck in a rut and it's too heavy. The man is flogging the horses, and Joe cries for him to stop. He'll help him lighten the cart so they can get out of the rut, but he shouts at Joe to mind his own business and goes back to beating the horses. Joe rides up to the house of the brickmaster and warns him one of the men is going to kill 2 of his horses if he's not stopped. The man asks if Joe will give evidence, and he agrees. When they get home, Joe is still furious, and he tells John about what happened. Right, Joe, you did right, my boy. Whether the fellow gets a summons or not, many folks would have ridden by and said it was not their business to interfere. Now I say that with cruelty and oppression, it is everybody's business to interfere when they see it. You did right, my boy. The brickworker was called before the magistrate, and Joe gave his evidence. Joe spoke so clearly, and the horses were in such a bad state that it was possible the brickworker would go to jail for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's just pointing out that see something, say something.
Fair, yeah.
And these animals can't speak up for themselves. Black had lived at Square Gordon's for 3 years, but the mistress became quite ill and they needed to move to a warmer climate. Merrylegs went to the vicar on the condition he must never be sold. Everyone is distraught over the change. Oh, it's not distraught, it must be distraft.
I feel like I've been taffed wrong.
Black and Ginger are sold to an earl. The coachman asks about their temperament, and John tells him Black is the calmest and sweetest disposition. Ginger is more easily vexed, and she doesn't do well with the check rein or gag bit because those spoiled her temper. York says that he and the master didn't use a check rein, but the lady demands they be all the way up. John is sorry, but he must go and catch his train. They start out having the check rein on the loosest setting, but this angers the mistress, and she demands that York tighten them up. So, knowing they had never had a check rein before, well, Ginger had, and it ruined her temper, but Black has never had a check rein. So York knows that they need to go at the bottom loop for a while, and then move to the next loop, and move to the next loop, and it gives them less and less space to move their head. Like, they can't really move side to side, and they can't move forward and back at the highest point. They have to go up a steep hill, and Black experiences how much strain and difficulty it is. Ginger tells him that 2 loops on the check rein isn't bad, but if it gets worse, they'd better watch out. Every day, the check rein goes up a notch, and it becomes harder and harder. One day, the mistress comes down and snaps at York to raise the horses' heads up all the way and stop babying them.
You can tell the author fucking knows this lady.
Yeah. Susan, we know you. York came to me first, while the groom stood at Ginger's head. He drew my head back and fixed the rein so tight that it was almost intolerable. Then he went to Ginger, who was impatiently jerking her head up and down against the bit, as was her way now. She had a good idea of what was coming, and the moment York took the rein off the terret in order to shorten it, she took her opportunity and reared up so suddenly that York had his nose roughly hit and his hat knocked off. The groom was nearly thrown off his legs. At once, they both flew to her head, but she was a match for them, and went on plunging, rearing, and kicking in a most desperate manner. At last, she kicked right over the carriage pole and fell down, after giving me a severe blow on my rear quarter. There is no knowing what further mischief she might have done had York not promptly sat himself down flat on her head to prevent her struggling, at the same time calling out, "Unbuckle the black horse, run for the winch and unscrew the carriage pole, cut the trace here, somebody, if you can't unhitch it." Because Ginger is going to just destroy and kill everyone.
Yeah.
And Black can be severely injured if the carriage all of it comes apart. Mm-hmm. The Earl is upset that York gave in to the mistress in the check reins, but he replied he'd prefer to get his orders from his lordship. But nothing has changed, because the master is not willing to actually deal with his wife, and a servant cannot refuse to listen to his mistress. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of seeing how you can have good men, but if they have bad masters, they will not be good men.
Yeah. These damn passive husbands.
Kind of, yeah. Ginger isn't put back into the carriage. Instead, she's used for hunting. Black is matched with Max. Max knows that check reins damage horses and heard the horse dealer agree it ruined them, but it's the passion. Black endures the check rein for 4 months, and during that time he suffers and struggles through. I am quite sure that, had it lasted much longer, either my health or my temper would have given way. Before that, I never knew what it was to foam at the mouth, but now the action of the sharp bit on my tongue and jaw, and the constrained position of my head and throat, always caused me to froth at the mouth more or less. Some people think it is very fine to see this and say, "What fine-spirited creatures!" But it is just as unnatural for horses as for men to foam at the mouth. It is a sure sign of some discomfort and should be attended to. Besides this, there was a pressure on my windpipe, which often made my breathing very uncomfortable. When I returned from my work, my neck and chest were strained and painful, my mouth and tongue tender, and I felt worn and depressed.
Yeah, I'm pretty directly telling you how the animal is feeling, and the animal does not like this.
Yeah. Reuben Smith is an undercoachman at the Earls, and he is a violent drunk. When not drinking, he was a fantastic coachman and great with the animals, but while drinking, he terrorizes his wife and couldn't be trusted to drive. He had been dismissed, then reinstated, and he promised not another drop. One day, he has to take Black to town to take a colonel to the train. So they ride either the dog cart or the carriage in, and they take a saddle with them so he can ride the horse back. The colonel tips Reuben, and they go to the inn. Reuben orders the hostler to feed Black and have him ready at 4 o'clock. One of Black's shoes is loose, and when Reuben comes back at 5, says it will wait until they get home. And he'll be back at 6, since he met an old friend. He doesn't come back until 9, and he's in a foul temper. He curses at the landlord and gallops as soon as they leave the town. He whips Black even though he is going at full speed. The moon isn't up and the shoe flies off. Reuben should have noticed the change in Black's gait, but he is too drunk. The road had been recently paved with fresh stones, and Black's hoof splits and gets cut, and he falls on his knees. Reuben is thrown very hard. He groans and then lays still. Black limps to the grass and waits. Men from the Earl find them and put Reuben, who's dead, into a cart and walk Black home. Ned sees his hoof like he can barely walk. He's lame on that leg. He ties it really tight with a handkerchief, and they just lead him back home. The shoe is found, and it's understood that Reuben was drunk, so Black isn't blamed. His knees are badly injured, and the treatment to fix them scars the front of his knees. Reuben's wife and 6 children are put out of the little college at the Earl's place and have to go to live in the poorhouse.
Yeah.
Black is put in a pasture to see how he'll heal and is soon joined by Ginger. She has been ruined by hard riding in the hunt. Lord George was too heavy for her and pushed her too hard and too frequently, because he would go out every time there was a hunt. Her neck is strained and her wind touched.
Yeah, so just permanently fucked up by,
By stupid men.
And a stupid sport.
Stupid men and a stupid sport. And so she said, "Here we are, ruined in the prime of our youth and strength, you by a drunkard and I by a fool. It is very hard." York and the Earl return from a trip and find the stay of the horses, because they had gone off for business for a while. And that was why Reuben was the one driving Black to this town and back, and why Sir George was able to use Ginger so hard. Because, part of the hunt is racing. You want to get there first.
Right. You want to be the one to actually get the fox.
Yeah, and she was high-spirited and loved running. And so she would try to keep up with the larger, faster horses, but it just was too much for her. Yeah. The Earl is angry that these fine horses have been ruined, and he'd promised his friend he would take good care of them. So he's put out because Squire Gordon had said, "I'll only sell them to you if they're in a good home," and now he hasn't been a good home.
Yeah.
And also he's out 300 pounds.
Yeah, that does blow.
Ginger will get a 12-month rest, but Black has to be sold because his knees are ugly.
Oh, God.
A aristocrat cannot have an ugly horse pulling his carriage. And because of the salves and stuff they put on his knees, all the hair's gone and it's ugly. York knows a man who owns a livery and is decent, so they sell Black there. At the livery, horses are rented out to people who want them. Black tells us about the many kinds of bad drivers. The ones who hold the reins too tight, the ones who hold them too loose, the ones who are careless and thoughtless and don't pay any attention. Black gets a stone in his hoof, and his loose rein, careless driver doesn't notice until he goes lame. A farmer comes and sees the man whipping Black, but notices his hoof and removes the stone, and the driver had no idea that horses could get stones.
Oh my god.
And he's like, yeah, they can, and this is freshly laid, fist-sized gravel that's perfect to fit in a shoe. Idiot. Another type of bad horse rider is the ones who think horses are machines and will add to the load until it's so full and then whip the horses until it goes, whether it's reasonable or not. A stablemate named Rory is hurt in a collision with another cart because the driver of the other cart went around a corner too fast. And some drivers don't even know which side of the road is theirs because you don't have to have a license to drive a horse and cart.
Okay.
And these men are in
probably
towns.
Wasn't, like, established outside of regular areas.
Well, it's like people who have been driving for a while know their side of the road.
Right.
But if you just have some 19 or 20-year-old kid who's never driven a horse before, he can come in and pay a pound or whatever, rent a horse and cart, and he's never driven before.
Oh. Yeah.
And nobody, you don't have
like background checks and shit.
No, they're not going to make sure you know how to drive. And then if you ruin it, you just have to pay the livery for a new horse and cart. Like, there was no licensing of...
That is funny.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of people riding around on horses and not knowing how to drive.
And a lot of horses get ruined at these liveries from that.
Yeah.
A mare named Peggy has a very strange gait. The first time we went out together, I thought she had a very odd pace. She seemed to go partly a trot, partly a canter, 3 or 4 paces, and then a little jump forward. It was very unpleasant for any horse who pulled with her, and made me quite fidgety. When we got home, I asked her what made her go in that odd, awkward way. "Ah," she said in a troubled manner, "I know my paces are very bad, but what can I do? It is really not my fault. It is just because my legs are so short. I stand nearly as high as you, but your legs are a good 3 inches longer above your knees than mine, and of course you can take a much longer step and go much faster. You see, I did not make myself. I wish I could have done so. I would have had long legs then. All my troubles come from my short legs," said Peggy in a desponding tone.
I had a horse like that, actually.
That had a strange pace or short legs?
Well, he was oddly proportioned, and that gave him a strange pace. He was a Mustang. From somewhere out west. He had like a brand and everything. And he was a butterball of a horse. Like, he was just wide and short. Had a little itty bitty head, but big rotund belly. And yeah, he never quite got the right pace with the other horses because he'd lag way far behind until he got like probably like an eighth of a mile back or something like that, and then he'd run up.
And the problem is she gets paired with tall horses that are faster, and because she's the slower horse, she gets whipped. Because the driver wants her to keep up with the tall horse, not the tall horse to slow down to her. And Peggy was known as a very gentle and quiet horse, so eventually she got bought by 2 ladies who had a place out in the country, and she got to just drive for them.
Oh, a couple of roommates.
Yes. Two unrelated roommates who were just friends.
And bought their own little nice horse.
Who drove them on their own little dates down in the country for picnics. So she gets a happy ending.
That's nice. We do like that. So we're going into this foray into what is essentially like a blue-collar career for this well-bred horse. Yeah. Who's down on his luck now.
Because he's kind of gone down in status every single time, and now he's in a livery driving carts. A gentleman rode Black several times and saw he was a good-tempered horse with a soft mouth, and advised his friend Mr. Barry to buy him. Because you can also just buy these horses. Like, the livery doesn't particularly care which horses they have. So Black lives in a stable where Barry rents a stall and rides him occasionally. So he hires a groom named Filcher.
Oh, no. We hate a Filcher in this household.
Filcher starts shorting Black's feed. Because
Yeah.
some of the names in this book are not.
Pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Barry doesn't know horses, and he doesn't even see the horse every day. So he doesn't know what's going on with the horse. He can't see the effect. Filcher tells him that horses are naturally tired in the fall.
What the fuck?
Because instead of giving him his oats, he's giving him bran, and he's still giving him his hay, but cutting, like, he's still giving him beans and a small amount of oats.
Sure.
And giving him more bran, but, like, keeping back the corn and most of the oats himself.
Huh. What's he doing? Is he eating it himself?
Yeah.
Okay.
A few days, like, a friend sees Black and tells Barry that the food Barry has ordered should be fine, and he needs to check up on his groom. Because he's like, what are you feeding this horse? Your horse looks bad. And he's like, I ordered him to have oats and corn and bran and beans and hay and be exercised every week and blah, blah, blah.
I've never heard of giving a horse beans. Not to sidetrack for like the 11th time in this episode.
Apparently, that was just sometimes an addition to their feed in this book.
I'll have to look into that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know what type of beans.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'm just going to start feeding my horses entirely pinto beans.
Just give them a can of pinto beans. A few days later, the police show up and catch Filcher and his son taking the oats home in a little bag. So they were taking them home and eating them.
Okay.
And so we get a new groom. The new groom is called Smirk, and he is a lazy fellow.
It still feels like we're ignoring like the classes a little bit, like the classism. Like this is just a two-dimensional evil man who steals the feed out of the horse's slavering mouth.
Yeah.
And like it couldn't be that he's not getting paid enough to eat, so he's eating horse feed.
Yeah. We're kind of just ignoring that
Yeah.
because this is an example of an ignorant owner who doesn't know enough to catch the people who work for him in their bad behavior.
Yeah.
So Barry is an ignorant man and an ignorant master who has good intentions, but the people under him pull the wool over his eyes and get away with bad things.
Yeah.
Because his second groom is named Smirk, and he's a very lazy fellow who does not groom Black thoroughly, clean his tack, or completely empty the stall. He always leaves wet straw in there. He never fully removes it.
Does he get thrush?
He gets thrush.
Yeah. Of course he did.
He blames the drains, too, because Barry comes in and is like, what's that awful smell? And he's like, maybe it's the drains. And the brickmaster comes and they pull up the drains. And they're like, nothing's wrong. And Black nearly falls when they're riding to another town. So Barry takes him to a farrier who's like, your horse has thrush. The stall needs to be cleaned and washed. And here's this ointment, and you have to pack this in his feet, and you have to do this, and he has to be kept dry. And at this point, Barry is so disgusted with grooms who are not doing a good job that he just sells Black. He's like, this is too much effort. I don't care that much.
Yeah. This is too much maintenance.
Yeah. He goes to a horse fair.
I'm betting nothing nice happens at the horse fair.
He's actually very lucky, and he gets picked by a nice man named Jeremiah Barker.
Okay.
He's a cabbie, and he needs a new horse. He has a wife and 2 children, and is just salt of the earth, perfect working man.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically our idealized, perfect, very poor working class guy.
Okay, so someone who's invested in the horse because that's his...
It's his property, it's his horse.
Right,
He's
and
not
it's how
renting
he's
it.
making his money.
Yes.
So he has investment in caring for the horse.
Yes. He's also a Christian, and he doesn't smoke, and he doesn't drink, and he doesn't cuss out his wife, and he doesn't beat her, and he's like our... Kind of like Black, it has to be a perfect horse so that we can sympathize with him, and he's our perfect character. Jeremiah Barker is our perfect working man, and so we're able to sympathize with him when bad things happen and see how he's a good person and good things should happen to him, and when they don't, we feel bad.
Okay.
Because that's kind of how the morality tale works, especially in this period.
Just seeing how good people and good animals react in bad situations.
And bad things still happen to them, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
And we feel bad about that and want to work to improve their conditions. His other horse is named Captain, and he's an older horse who'd been in the Crimean War. I skip all the part about Captain's story, but it's kind of interesting. Captain goes out for the morning shift, and Black goes out for the evening shift. So Jeremiah Burker works from, 7 or 8 a.m. through to about midnight, and he has Sundays off. And so his horses have one has morning shift, one has evening shift, so that they're not completely worn out and dead.
Yeah, that's sensible.
He has a 6-day license because at this point in time, you could have a 6-day license where you didn't drive on Sunday, or a 7-day license, and the price was different. And if you had a 6-day license, you couldn't drive on Sunday. He actually loses a regular customer because of that, but he is firm on he won't work on Sundays because his horses need a day off, and so does he. And that's the only time he gets to spend with his family, because he's working, 18-hour days, 16-hour days, depending on the day and how late he's out. So he refuses to work on Sunday for that one family. They leave, and then eventually they come back and are a regular customer again. He also refuses to speed for people who are in a hurry because it's not his fault that they left it until the last minute, and he won't punish his horses for it. So he's very much, they're like, extra money if you rush and hurry, and he's like, I'll take you at the normal safe pace. And they're like, fine, and they run off to somewhere else, and the other guys all laugh at him, but he's like, there's no reason to whip my horses for you.
Yeah. So this guy's all neat and clean cut and got all of his morals in a tidy little bushel.
He does make an exception, though, because there's this man who gets injured in the middle of the street when he's going toward trying to get a cab. And he's like, oh, getting injured and getting knocked down like this is going to make me late. Do you think you can get me to the train on time? And in this instance, he's like, yep, I can get you there on time. And he just does the whip across the horse just a little bit. They get there on time, and he refuses the extra money because he's like, you were just in a bad accident. It wasn't your fault. I'm just doing this because I want you to get to your train. And the other men are like, ha, so you will rush sometimes. You're not so Mr. High and Mighty. He's like, I didn't charge him extra. It wasn't his fault. Because he felt like the men who were rushed and felt like he needed to be put out of his way, he didn't want to bother with those people.
Yeah. He's got his own standard, and he's morally upright and righteous in his own mind. Yeah. And that's good enough for him.
Yeah. Another time, Jerry drives a poor woman carrying a sick child across the city to the hospital and doesn't charge her money. Because sometimes he's just really sympathetic and cares about other people.
Yeah.
He does work one Sunday to take a woman to see her dying mother. So the only times he makes exceptions are when it's morally superior to make that choice. Winter in London for a cabbie and his horse is very hard. We learn about the industry of large cab owners who rent out the horse and carriage to the drivers for very high fees, and how hard the cabmen have to work just to make the rent before even feeding themselves. So the carriage fee is fixed per mile. Within a certain amount of mileage, you only get to charge a certain amount. And you only get to charge so much per hour. So if you're waiting for a party to come out, you charge them per hour of waiting, and you charge them per mile. And it's a set fixed rate. You can't charge more than that. You can accept tips, but you're limited. Jerry is telling one cabbie, named Seedy Sam, how rough his horse is looking, and the cabbie responds with the basic math of how many miles and hours he has to go before he can even feed himself or his 6 kids. So this is Seedy Sam responding, because he feels like he is getting preached at by Jeremiah, who is in a better financial position because he's able to own his own horses.
Right.
Seedy Sam is forced to rent his horses and rent the carriage. You that have your own horses and cabs or drive for good masters have a chance of getting on and a chance of doing right. I haven't. We can't charge more than 6 pence a mile after the first within the 4-mile radius. This very morning I had to go a clear 6 miles and only took 3 shillings. I could not get a return fare and had to come all the way back. There's 12 miles for the horse and 3 shillings for me. After that I had a 3-mile fare, and there were bags and boxes enough to have brought in a good many 2 pences if they had been put outside. But you know how people do. All that could be piled up inside on the front seat were put in, and 3 heavy boxes went on top. that was 6pence, and the fair one and 6pence. Then I got a return for a shilling. Now that makes 18 miles for the horse and 6 shillings for me. There's 3 shillings still for that horse to earn, and 9 shillings for the afternoon horse before I touch a penny. Of course, it is not always so bad as that, but you know it often is. And I say 'tis a mockery to tell a man that he must not overwork his horse, for when a beast is downright tired, there's nothing but the whip that will keep his legs a-going. You can't help yourself. You must put your wife and children before the horse. The masters must look to that. We can't. I don't ill-use my horse for the sake of it. None of you can say I do. There's wrong lays somewhere. Never a day's rest, never a quiet hour with the wife and children. I often feel like an old man, though I'm only 45. You know how quick some of the gentry are to suspect us of cheating and overcharging. Why, they stand with their purses in their hands, counting it over to a penny, and looking at us as if we were pickpockets. I wish some of them had got to sit on my box 16 hours a day and get a living out of it, and 18 shillings besides, and that's in all weathers. They would not be so uncommon particular, never to give us a 6pence over or to cram all the luggage inside. Of course, some of them tip us pretty handsome now and then, or else we could not live, but you can't depend on that.
Yeah, see, that I find so much more compelling. That kind of character. Like, he's not a two-dimensional, filching character that's literally stealing food out of the horse's mouth. And he's also not the two-dimensional moral character that's going in and saving boxes of puppies from burning houses because it's just the moral and upright thing to do. This character's actually got a lot of texture to him. Like, he doesn't want to abuse the animals, but he's in a financial situation. He literally that's his only option.
And I think Mary Sewell wrote this way to show us she knows.
Yeah.
Not all men have the luxury of being kind and giving their horses a break.
Yeah.
Not all men have the, privilege of resting on Sundays.
Yeah.
And Jerry is actually really sympathetic and I won't say anything else about your poor horses. Just maybe be kind to them and give them a nice word now and then. He basically says, maybe just talk a little nicer to your horses. There really isn't much you can do.
Yeah. I do respect that author for that inclusion. Because it is, unfortunately, a harsh reality, especially at that time, that you simply did depend on the animals to make your living. And the system was set up in such a way that you literally could not make it except just by luck. And sometimes just didn't make it.
This kind of reminds me of people having to do DoorDash and Uber and shit too, and how all of the harm is put on the worker.
Yep.
None of the cost is put on the owner. It is innocent bystanders who are paying the price.
Yeah.
A week later, Sam gets a fever from a cold and he dies.
Damn, that sucks. Fuck.
He's gone, said the man. What, gone? You don't mean to say he's dead. Just snuffed out, said the other. He died at 4 o'clock this morning. All yesterday he was raving about Skinner and having no Sundays. I never had a Sunday's rest, were his last words. No one spoke for a while, and then the governor said, I'll tell you what, mates, that is a warning for us. She holds no punches.
Yeah, that's fucking brutal.
This kind of overwork kills a man at the age of 45 from a fever.
Yeah.
And this is brutal and wrong. The system is bad.
Damn. Yeah, I can see why this is a good book.
And why she wrote it for working men. She wrote it for men who lived this life and is like, I
forgot about that aspect.
I see your life sucks.
Yeah.
I see that you have to feed your children before you can care about your horse. So maybe just try to be nicer to them. And she holds no punches here. He dies very sadly. And then his 6 children and wife are orphaned and on the streets.
Damn. Yeah, that's fucking brutal, dog.
Yeah. One day, a worn-out chestnut horse is walking past and sees some hay on the ground, and it eats it. She is all skin and bones.
Is it Ginger? Yeah.
There was a hopeless look in the dull eye that I could not help noticing, and then as I was thinking where I had seen that horse before, she looked full at me and said, Black Beauty, is that you? It was Ginger, but how changed. The beautifully arched and glossy neck was now straight and lank and fallen in. The clean, straight legs and delicate fetlocks were swelled. The joints were grown out of shape with hard work. The face that was once so full of spirit and life was now full of suffering, and I could tell by the heaving of her sides and frequent cough how bad her breath was. Our drivers were standing together a little way off, so I sidled up to her a step or two that we might have a little quiet talk. It was a sad tale she had to tell. Ginger had gotten rest at the Earl's, but she was sold to a gentleman. After a hard gallop, her old strain returned, so she was sold again. She finally ended up owned by a man who let out cabs and horses, and said she just needed to be used up. Quote, "That is what they are doing, whipping and working with never one thought of what I suffer. They paid for me and must get it out of me, they say. The man who hires me now pays a deal of money to the owner every day, and so he has to get it out of me too. So it's all the week round with never a Sunday rest." I said, "You used to stand up for yourself if you were ill-used." "Ah," she said, "I did once, but it's no use. Men are strongest, and if they are cruel and have no feeling, there is nothing that we can do but just bear it. Bear it on and on to the end. I wish the end was come. I wish I was dead. I have seen dead horses, and I am sure they do not suffer pain. I wish I may drop down dead at my work and not be sent off to the knackers." I was very much troubled, and I put my nose up to hers, but I could say nothing to comfort her. I think she was pleased to see me, for she said, "You are the only friend I ever had." A short time after this, a cart with a dead horse in it passed our cab stand. The head hung out of the cart tail, the lifeless tongue was slowly dropping with blood, and the sunken eyes. But I can't speak of them, the sight was too dreadful. It was a chestnut horse with a long, thin neck. I saw a white streak down the forehead. I believe it was Ginger. I hoped it was, for then her troubles would be over. Oh, if men were more merciful, they would shoot us before we came to such misery. So as much sympathy as we have for C.D. Sam, that's his horse.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that was the horse that was, yeah. Damn.
Not the same horse, but the same man who owns the livery, the cab company.
Damn.
Yeah. This is where everyone is like, in the middle of the movie, Ginger dies, and everyone's crying, like, fuck this movie, fuck this book.
Yeah.
And I actually told a friend that I was doing Black Beauty, and she was like, "Oh, that's a sad book." And I was like, yes, it is a sad book, but also a good book because it teaches empathy.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a horse die?
No. I've seen lots of other animals die, but not a horse.
It feels different with horses. Like it's an animal with such like vitality to them, and seeing them dying is just, it feels bizarre. Like everything else feels like it can die, but there's like some secret part in my brain that feels like horses can't die, and I don't know why.
Does it feel like more like they're people to you?
No, it's not like that. It's more like, I don't know. It's like horses are more like a force. Like there's some ethereal feeling in my brain that I have about horses that sets them apart from other animals for some reason. And horses dying just feels incorrect. Like I know factually they do, but it just doesn't suit them. If that makes any sense.
Maybe it's because they're a lot longer lived than other pets or animals.
I mean, they do live up to be like 30. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I can't quite explain it.
So you never mean it when you say you're going to eat Rowdy?
No, I do mean that. I 100% mean that. As long as he doesn't die of like some disease I can't quite identify or something like that.
He'll just be tough. He'll be
he's not going to be good.
Old man.
I get to keep a part of him with me. That's how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah. He lives in your heart and your belly.
Yeah.
One day, a drunk drayman, who's a driver of a wagon with no sides, used to transport goods, crashes into Jerry and Captain. The carriage was damaged, and Captain was severely injured. The farrier tells Jerry that Captain will never recover for cab work, but he might be good for carting, like coal carting. Jerry is angry that a good horse got ruined by drunkards who don't care and don't pay the price. And the governor, who's just another cabbie, that's his nickname, is uncomfortable getting called out because he drinks.
Yeah.
And Jerry's on a soapbox. And Jerry actually tells him about his sobriety journey because he used to drink. And he was able to give it up, and he encourages the governor to as well. So there's a pretty strong sobriety, teetotaler, strong teetotalers bent to this story. But truthfully, it did ruin so many lives and they didn't know how to deal with it except tell people never drink. Like, they didn't have any medications, they didn't have therapies, they didn't have other ways of dealing with it except saying, don't drink.
Yeah, that does make sense. People drinking alcohol back in the day was fucking crazy because there was no moderation.
Yeah, and it's like, even talks about how a lot of the cabbies will, while they're waiting for a fare, they'll go get a drink, and then they're waiting for the party to come back, so they'll go have a drink, and they'll have a flask, and they'll just be half drunk all the time.
Alcohol culture was so different back then. Like you said, people would just pretty much be drunk all day, or like a little drunk all the time.
And people who had illnesses or mental illnesses or anything like that,
that
was basically self-medicating all the time with that. So Jerry is really upset about Captain, and he doesn't want to sell his good old horse to a worse life, because he knows if he goes to coal carting, they'll just use him up until he falls down dead. One day, Black goes to the blacksmith for shoes, and when he comes back, Captain is gone. Because Jerry would rather just put him down than destroy him. Jerry buys Hotspur, a horse that had been in an accident, because he had a very tender mouth, and the coachman had him harnessed very tight with a martingale, a check rein, and a very sharp curb, and the reins put at the bottom bar.
What was that horse name again?
Hotspur.
That's a sick fucking horse name.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a cool ass horse name. I'm going to steal that if I ever get another horse. Whenever I get a miniature horse after my horse dies, definitely going to name him Hotspur. That's fucking sick.
So the martingale is the one that holds their chin down and attaches it to their chest. And he had that, and a check rein, and a sharp curb.
Oh, curb bit.
This horse had a curb bit, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that
and it
makes
was
sense.
at the bottom.
That's the curb on the inside. That's what I was talking about, that loop on the bar. So this horse is a high-strung horse who's fairly young, and he is put in a position where he can't move his head at all. And he goes insane and gets in a bad accident. And they just sell him because they're like, we're not dealing with this. And they want their horses to look a certain way. They're not going to change their habits. Right.
Jerry says, well, we'll try him because I don't use a check rein. I don't use all that stuff. You know, it's their loss and my gain if he's just energetic.
Yeah.
So he always gets the morning shift, and he's a lot calmer after a week of getting regular exercise and being more comfortable. It's New Year's, and Jerry's cough is really bad. He's told to wait for gentlemen at a party who ask for him to come at 11, but they don't leave the party until 1 a.m., and it's sleeting outside. And because he's a cabman, he's not exactly supposed to sit inside of his own carriage. So
That's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's another one of those stylistic things, just like the fucking...
So he opens the door and, like, sits on the step right on the side of it, and he's getting soaking wet, the horse is getting soaking wet, and they're out there for several hours.
Jeez.
Jerry and Black get home, but Jerry is very ill, and he gets bronchitis, and eventually he gets better, but the doctor says he can't go back to cab work. He's like, if you go back to cab work, you'll die. So he's able to get a job as a coachman for a lady, and the family moves out to the country. They can't take Black because they don't own the horses, they're just a coachman. So Black is sold to a corn dealer and baker who drives loads and sells grain. The foreman often overloaded the wagons, and his driver, Jakes, uses the check rein. One day, the cart is quite overloaded, and with the check rein, Black can't get up the hill. Like, he is trying, and he cannot. Like, his body is not able. A gentlewoman sees poor Black getting whipped and yelled at and whipped, and he intervenes, asking Jakes to take off the check rein, and she tells him that if he takes it off, Black will be able to get up the hill. And so he does, and he gets down, and he's able to lead Black up to the hill, and he's like, well, I'll be the laughing stock if I don't have a check rein. And she's like, well, maybe if you at least just take it off on hills, right? Like, just try to be a little nicer.
Right.
And he's like, it's not my fault that the wagon gets overloaded every day, because The foreman is the one who puts another 300 pounds on it. I can't deal with that. And she's like, well, what you can do is just take off the check rein to go up the hill.
Have a little more patience. Take your time. Take the time to, do this, and everything works out better.
And so from then on, he took it off to go uphill.
That's such a stupid stylistic thing. Like, it's
For
just
working horses.
Yeah, that's like having you remember that style in the 2000s where dudes would just be wearing 11 belts?
Yeah.
And especially in cartoons and stuff. That it's just extra belts on a horse for nothing. Stupid.
The overloading continues, and eventually Black gets just too worn out. He just can't pull these wagons anymore.
Any idea how old he is at this point?
I think he's about 14.
Okay.
Because later on, I think they figure out that he's in his mid-teens.
Yeah, I can't imagine this will last too much longer, because that's usually about the end of a horse's working life. Because after that, they start getting frail, and you actually start hearing their bones popping. So you have to treat them really gently after that. Around the time between 15 and 20 is when you have to really start treating them very gently.
He gets sold again because he can't pull these heavy loads, and he is sold to a man who owns cabs and horses and rents them out. So basically C.D. Sam's situation. And Ginger's. In this job, no one cares for Black or loves him. There's no Sunday rest or warm bran mash. Quote, my driver was just as hard as his master. He had a cruel whip with something so sharp at the end it would sometimes draw blood, and he would even whip me under the belly and flip the lash out at my head. Indignities like these took the heart out of me terribly, but still I did my best and never hung back. For as poor Ginger said, it was no use. Men are the strongest. My life was now so utterly wretched that I wished I might, like Ginger, drop down dead at my work and be out of my misery. And one day my wish very nearly came to pass. So they're waiting as a train is pulling up to see if any passengers need a cab. And a family of 4 come out with a lot of heavy luggage. And these are the big old steam trunk things full of stuff. And I don't know if you caught it in C.D. Sam's speech, but the driver gets more money if there's luggage on the top of the carriage.
Right, and that's why they were loading it up in the front seat inside, as much as they were.
So they don't have to pay for
it.
Because the idea is you pay your driver for the weight in addition to the people and the regular fare.
And people being people, they're going to try to
cut every penny.
Yeah, cheat that as much as possible.
The little girl is worried that Black can't pull all of this stuff, and the porter even suggests a second carriage for the luggage. So even the porter is saying, hey, can I get you another cab? And the driver's like, no, we don't need another cab. My horse can pull all of this. And it gets so heavy, they can hear the springs groan on the carriage. The load was very heavy, and I had had neither food nor rest since morning, but I did my best, as I had always done, in spite of cruelty and injustice. I got along fairly till we came to Ludgate Hill, but there the heavy load and my own exhaustion were too much. I was struggling to keep on, goaded by constant chucks of the rein and use of the whip, when in a single moment, I cannot tell how, my feet slipped from under me, and I fell heavily to the ground on my side. The suddenness and the force with which I fell seemed to beat all the breath out of my body. I lay perfectly still. Indeed, I had no power to move, and I thought now I was going to die. I heard a sort of confusion round me, loud, angry voices, and the getting down of the luggage, but it was all like a dream. They're able to get the harness off of him, and he's able to stand up, and they lead him away, but they're like, yeah, he's no good for pulling carriages anymore. We have worn him out and used him up. The owner of the cab company is named Skinner. He and a farrier come and look at Black, and they're like, it's overwork. And the farrier says, if you gave him 6 months in a field, he might recover. And Skinner's like, I don't own any fields.
I can't afford to feed this horse regularly.
Why would I feed this horse that's not working? So he goes to another horse fair. I'm
guessing he gets less lucky this time.
Then he must go to the dogs, said Skinner. I have no meadows to nurse sick horses in. He might get well or he might not. That sort of thing don't suit my business. My plan is to work 'em as long as they'll go and then sell 'em for what they'll fetch at the knackers or elsewhere. Because when they went to the dogs, that was dog feed.
Dog food.
Yeah. So the farrier's like, there's a horse fair coming up in 10 days. And Skinner tells the groom, well, feed him up really good. Rest him and give him lots of feed for the next 10 days so we can get as much out of him as we can. Maybe someone can buy him to do some work if he looks okay.
My granddad actually had that exact business model with trading horses.
Oh.
Because he would buy some raggedy-looking skinny mare or something like that, and all he would do was just let him out in the field and let him eat. And just fatten them up, take them back to the sale, sell them. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that they're a healthier-looking horse that's worth more than $75.
Right.
He made some amount of money doing that. I don't know if I would call it good money.
Yeah, because it's still expensive to maintain horses and property.
I would say that it's good. It would be good, like, hobby money.
Mm-hmm. The rest and food cheer Black up, so he thinks it might be better to live than to go to the dogs.
I had the same thought this morning. I was getting up to go to work, and boy, I was just not feeling it. And then Lily was just like, do you want my energy drink? And I was like, you know what? I think life actually is worth living. I won't drive off a bridge embankment, actually.
Black ends up in the part of the fair for old, lame, or sick horses. A gentleman farmer and his grandson look at Black, and Willie, the grandson, thinks they can rehabilitate Black like another horse, Ladybird, that they had rescued before.
Aww.
Kind of like your granddad.
Yeah.
So before they had got Ladybird, she was worn out, but she wasn't old, and they were able to make her young again, is how they described it.
Yeah.
And Willie is like, well, look at Black. I don't think he's that old. He doesn't have any white hairs. Like, he doesn't look like he's graying. He doesn't look old. He looks overworked. Yeah. And so the groom says that he'd heard the farrier say Black only needed 6 months in a field and he would be ready to work again. And they only need 5 pounds for the horse. And so the farmer's like, well, and he pulls out his purse, and the grandson's like dancing around like, I got a horse. And
okay, so this is where the movie picks up. It's just like, the boy, a boy and his horse, and the rebuilding power of love or something.
Rest and a field. The farmer's name is Mr. Thoroughgood.
Okay.
And he puts Black in a field and feeds him hay and oats every day, and Willie comes and takes care of him. And over the winter, he's able to get a lot better. He's able to pull a cart again, and so the farmer looks for a good home for him. A family of 3 sisters are looking for a gentle horse to pull their carriage, so they take Black for a trial period. They're like, his needs are ugly, but the groom is like, we're just taking him on trial. He's a gentle horse. We just need a gentle horse. He doesn't need to look so pretty. Yeah. And for, if he bought him for 5 pounds, he's selling him for maybe 10. Not an expensive animal. The groom is cleaning Black when he says, this is just like the star that Black Beauty had. He is much the same height, too. I wonder where he is now. A little further on, he came to the place in my neck where I was bled and where a little knot was left in the skin. He almost started and began to look at me over carefully, talking to himself. White star in the forehead, 1 white foot on the offside, this little knot just in that place. Then looking at the middle of my back, and as I am alive, there is the little patch of white hair that John used to call Beauty's 3-penny bit. It must be Black Beauty. Why, Beauty, do you know me? Little Joe Green that almost killed you? And he began patting me as if he was quite overjoyed. Black doesn't recognize Joe because now he's a grown man, but he's the groom for this family, and he writes Squire Gordon to tell him he's found Black Beauty. And the sisters love Black, and they give him his old name of Black Beauty. I have now lived in this happy place a whole year. Joe is the best and kindest of grooms. My work is easy and pleasant, and I feel my strength and spirits all coming back again. Mr. Thoroughgood said to Joe the other day, in your place he will last till he is 20 years old, and perhaps more. Willie always speaks to me when he can and treats me as his special friend. My ladies have promised that I shall never be sold, and so I have nothing to fear. And here my story ends. My troubles are all over, and I am at home. And often before I am quite awake, I fancy I am still in the orchard at Birtwick, standing with my old friends under the apple tree.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's a nice happy ending.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite rip my soul out like I was expecting it to.
I know, because, like, it just gets so progressively worse. You're expecting him to just die.
Yeah, no, I'd lost hope. I thought this horse was definitely going to die.
End up as dog food. Yeah.
Old Black Beauty going down to the glue factory.
So, yeah, I think this book taught me empathy as a child.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family that did not emphasize kindness or gentleness. And I think reading it at the age I did really did promote empathy in me, which was a losing strategy in my family. But as I was an adult and away from that culture, it kind of returned to me.
Yeah.
She actually was instrumental in getting the check rein done away with. It's very uncommon to see. It's used for shows sometimes, I think. Like, I know there's people who dress up their horses fancy.
Sure. But the horse, it's nowhere near the same situation because they're not being worked for like 8 and 10 hours at a time.
Having their head held at this weird angle.
They're in a show for like a couple hours a couple of times a year. Which, still not good. Still not a good thing in my opinion.
But wouldn't damage them the way that this usage
that
was.
constant, utilitarian use of, basically a piece of work equipment would, like this. So, yeah.
Her work was instrumental in promotion of animal rights and awareness of animal cruelty. She lived to see early success of the book, but like I said, she died fairly young. It became like this worldwide, well-known book. She was known as just being very kind and very generous. I give it a B because some of it's really repetitive.
Yeah.
I tried to...
It really does feel like it's kind of just a little, like, kind of Bible-beating morality into you a little bit.
Yeah, and if you take it all in one dose, it is just over and over, good men step in and stop bad men. And granted, although if you think about it, from a horse's perspective, his life is work. And that is all he has to deal with, is whether he has good men or bad men who own him.
Yeah.
So in that way, it is realistic and gives hope. It's just as a reading experience, it can be a little tedious, and all of the names are kind of right on the nose.
Yeah. I mean, that was the style at the time.
Thorogood, yeah. And it's kind of, it is very preachy. I like how its take on morality and religion and Jesus is, because it does emphasize treating others with kindness and goodness. And if you see men who are cruel, that means they're not good Christians, which I agree with.
Ooh. Maybe the names aren't on the nose. Maybe some of the names aren't on the nose. Like, this is such an old piece that is so iconic. Maybe that's where those words... Yeah, maybe that's where some of these words got their popularity, is like, everyone remembers old Filch in Black Beauty, so whenever you're just being a dick and like taking shit and filching it, you're filching, you're a filch, right? You filthy filcher.
That would be pretty funny if this was the introduction of some of those names.
Maybe it's more subtle than we thought.
It could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and review, which I won't.
I give it a B. It is good. I think children should read it.
Yeah. I think it's good. I also think it's good.
I'm glad it has a happy ending.
Yeah. That was nice. It's also made me make up my mind as to do another book.
Oh, what book?
Fox and the Hound.
Oh, I never even saw the movie of that.
The movie is so fucking different.
Oh, okay.
The movie is like, it's sickly sweet Disney. Back in the fucking... Shoot. What was that?
40s? 50s?
Nah, well, I mean, it might have been in that era. Maybe a little later. I can't remember the artist. I'd have to look him up.
The illustrator who did the movie, or?
Yeah, one of the main illustrators. He was really famous, and like that very distinct Disney style around like the 50s and 60s.
Oh, okay.
He did Oliver and Company. If I figure it out in editing, I'll insert it here.
It was Don Bluth.
But yeah, the book, Fox and the Hound, way different.
Okay.
It is devastating, honestly. And like I thought about doing it a while back ago, but I kind of changed my mind. But yeah, if I do it, it will very much be in this kind of bent. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this makes me feel better about doing that one, actually.
Okay.
So next month, gonna try to do Fox and the Hound, if anyone wants to try to read that.
Well, we won't hold you to it being next month.
Yeah.
If you have other good books that you want us to read, or if you have opinions on Black Beauty, I'm sure more of our listeners have read Black Beauty than a bunch of the other stuff.
Yeah, right.
Let us know. You can email us at bibliorex@gmail.com, bibliowrecks@gmail.com. You can let us know good books, bad books, or in between. And I guess we'll catch y'all next time.
Yeah. And don't eat your horse. I mostly do that as a joke. I am going to eat my horse.
Don't beat a dead horse.
Don't beat a dead horse. Don't beat a live horse. You know what? Actually, beat the dead horses
instead of the live ones.
Yeah, they don't feel it. It's
They don't
fine.
feel
You can
pain.
do whatever you want to a dead horse. No one cares, actually.
Don't beat a live horse.
Yeah, don't beat the live. Leave the live horses alone.
And if you feel the urge to snip ears, do it to yourself, not to poor puppies.
Snip your kids' ears off.
Not your
and
kids.
We've always said that on this podcast.
Make your child a Spock, not
Yeah.
your puppies.
Bye.
Bye.